Alright guys, welcome back to yet another episode. Today we are going to be talking about how I store my soft plastics and my lures in boxes and just kind of how I keep that all organized, so stay tuned. So before we start this video, if you do not know who I am and you're new to the channel, I'm the Wisconsin Wildman, and if you haven't already, take your thumb, right one, left one, I don't care what it is, hit the subscribe button, and there's a little bell notification next to the subscribe button to click that so you guys don't miss when I upload. Reason being, you want to be subscribed to the channel. At 5,000 we are doing a rod and reel giveaway, so 5,000 subscribers, I'm going to select one of you lucky subs to receive a rod and reel combo. It's going to be a brand new setup, never used, and I'm going to send it out to one of you guys, so make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Alright, like I said, we're going to be going over all my boxes, how I store my soft plastics, and pretty much what I do to be a little faster in the boat, so I can, especially when I'm fishing tournaments, you definitely want a lure in the water at all times, so you want to be able to get through your boxes quickly. Alright, so my first tip to you guys before we even go through my boxes here is pick yourself up some white duct tape and a Sharpie. Reason being is I've tried the label makers before. I've tried just writing on the boxes with Sharpie. That just ends up rubbing off with just a Sharpie, and the labels always end up falling off, it seems like. But duct tape, it always stays on there really nicely, and a Sharpie, you can write on there, you can see exactly what you want to read really nicely. It pops good, and if it starts to rub off, you can rub it back or write it back on there, but it really pops out on the boxes. So white duct tape and a Sharpie, label your boxes really nice for yourself, never fails. First off, we're gonna start off with like my smallest boxes and just work to the biggest one. So my first box is just my buzz and spinnerbait box. Guys, all this has in it is spinnerbaits. I would throw it up right in front of the camera, but it would, it's gonna bright the camera lens. But anyways, like I said, all it is in here is, I've got some spinnerbaits, and that's pretty much all that's in this one. I don't toss spinnerbaits a lot. I know a lot of people love spinnerbaits, but if I'm gonna toss a spinnerbait, I pretty much just tie on a chatterbait. I just feel that the chatterbait's a more superior bait, so I actually have a box full of chatterbaits, but I've got a few spinnerbaits because you never know when it's going to come in handy. So my next box, guys, which is probably one of my favorite boxes, is the swim jig box, guys. Now you can see I have the white duct tape written on there, swim jigs. This box is just a smaller box. It is not one of the bigger ones. I think it's like 4,000 or 4004, like the size of the Flippin. I like these Flambeau boxes because they have the Z-Rust, what do you want to call it, slots in them. Plus I put the rust blocker strips in there from Bullfrog. If you guys haven't seen that before, I have a video going over that, how to keep rust out of your tackle box. And all they are is like a little sticky part that you can put on the inside of your tackle box to soak up any moisture in the box as well. So combine those with these Flambeau boxes, and everything stays pretty darn rust free. But like I said, swim jig box, pretty much can put 2 to 3 jigs in each little spot. I fish, pretty much all these are 1/4 ounces up to a half. I pretty much don't go any heavier than a half. I usually don't go any heavier than 3/8, but 1/4 ounce to a half is in this box. And I've got a label, I've got, there's black and blue to, every color you can think of is in there. The next box, guys, that we're gonna be going over is my flipping jig box. So these are all my flipping jigs in here. I don't toss 1/4 ounce flipping jigs very often. I pretty much toss 3/8 up to a half ounce. If I do go to an ounce, I end up just pitching a flipping rig anyway. So in this box, I have 3/8 and half ounce flipping jigs in here, mainly black and blue and green pumpkin. Those are my 2 main colors. So, but this is another one of those boxes. It's just like the swim jig box, a little bit smaller. I just, you can fit 2 to 3 jigs in a spot anyway, so that's usually plenty for the boat. The next box, guys, terminal box. It's all my terminal tackle in here. You guys, obviously terminal tackle is pretty self-explanatory. Hooks, tungsten, a lot of tungsten in here. Bobber stoppers, just a bunch of that stuff. This is just a Plano one. It's actually like one of their terminal boxes. You can see all the slots are different, and it has in there written underneath them like what the weights are. You can't really see it that well, but I pretty much can tell what I'm looking at and what I want anyway. But I thought this was a really nice box. It's a little bit thinner than your standard box because it is a terminal box, but I really like the layout of it. Just gonna keep moving down the list, and now is the Chatterbait box, guys. Like I said before, white duct tape, it's black Sharpie, makes it pop really nice. This is a bigger flambeau box. This has got a bunch of chatterbaits in it, ranging from all different sizes and colors. I pretty much only use black and blue, white and chartreuse. I do have some green pumpkin, some red, some bluegill colored ones in there. But pretty much my main colors are white and chartreuse is a big one for me, and then black and blue. I pretty much have a box for just about everything, but I did load up on chatterbaits, and gotta have a box for themselves on these chatterbaits. This box here is my Topwater Box, guys. Now all this has in it is, you know, your walking topwater baits, your poppers. I've got whopper ploppers in here, and I've even got some buzz baits in here. This basically is just a range of different topwater baits. I don't fish a ton of like poppers and walking baits and whopper ploppers, and I do fish a buzz bait a decent amount, but I really like to fish a lot of grass, so I end up using frogs a lot. So there's no frogs in this box because I've got a box exclusively for frogs. But yeah, this just has a different range of topwater items. My next box is just my deeper diving crankbaits, guys. It's a bunch of crankbaits in here. I've even got some jerkbaits in here because I don't fish a jerkbait a ton, even though I really want to get into jerkbait fishing. But these are all my really big crankbaits, guys. Dive down 15, 20 feet of crankbaits in here. So this is just, I have a box exclusively for the deep diving ones, and I kind of know which ones are, you know, what they'll dive to. Next box will be a square bill crankbait box, guys. Especially on the Mississippi River, fish a lot of riprap and rocks, so I've got a box just packed full of square bills. Mainly, you're gonna find like my crawfish red colors, black and chartreuse. Those are pretty much the top two colors in this box. I also have a couple lipless in here. Don't fish a lipless a ton, even though it is one of my go-to spring baits. That's pretty much the only time I really fish it. So I just got a few tucked in there. So next is my frog box, guys. Now this is a deeper style box here, and as you can see, it's a pretty deep one. This has all my frogs in it. Now you may be saying, Brandon, there's not a lot of frogs in that box. Yes, there's only 12 frogs in this box, but the reason for only having 12 frogs in this box is I have all these specifically arranged kind of in the colors that I want. The only colors that I usually use for fishing frogs is basically, I look at the belly of a frog and I have, you know, black, chartreuse, and white. That's pretty much the only colors I'll fish for frogs. But I have 12 in here right now, but I have a big order of frogs coming in that is going to fill this box up. If you guys haven't seen the channel yet, I love fishing a frog, and I fish them very often. And on the Mississippi, there's always pike, so you always end up getting bit off. And I just like to have a surplus of frogs, so this box, when my order comes in, will be filled with frogs. It'd be a lot of money in frogs, to be honest with you. Maybe a little overkill for frogs, but I just love fishing a frog. Wonder how many times I just said frog right there. Quite a few. All right, so these next boxes, guys, it's actually a box for ice fishing. Now these come with a, let me grab them. They come with a foam insert in them, and they're actually for like ice fishing spoons and stuff. I picked them up and took the foam out of them, and I use them to store my soft plastics. So this box is my Jig Trailers, okay? This box is a little deeper, and basically I just know that when I grab this box, everything in here, every single soft plastic in here is going to be a trailer that can be tossed on a jig, a swim jig, a chatterbait, spinnerbait, things like that. I just know that everything in here is a trailer, okay? Now the big reason why I like to keep them stored in boxes like these deeper ones, is I don't like to take the plastics out of the bag and put them into individual boxes. I think then you end up with just an absolute ton of boxes full of soft plastics. And then sometimes they can get, you know, kind of bent and whatnot. And some of your soft plastics are scented, so I like to keep them in the plastic bags, especially the Guggen baits and the Strike King ones, because they have a plastic insert in them that is specifically to keep the baits molded to what they're supposed to be. So I don't like to take them out of that very often. So before I kept everything in a duffel bag full of plastics, but it wasn't very organized, so I had to dig a lot. But now, since I have these, you can order them off of Amazon. They are like 15, 20 bucks for one of these, because they do come with their first, you know, ice fishing spoons. This may not be the most ideal way to store these. You know, some of you may not store your soft plastics this way. It may not be the most ideal way, but to me, I like it this way. It's just efficient to me, and everything is just stored away in these boxes. So like I said, this is just one that's full of Jig Trailers. I know that everything in here is going to be a trailer for something. So the next box is another one of those, and this is my Flippin Bait and Crawfish soft plastic box. Everything in here is going to be used for like flipping brushes, flipping brush, punching. Everything in there, like these plastics, is meant for that, and craw. Basically, if you flip or pitch something, it's probably going to be a craw, beaver tail, brush hog, whatever it is. It's pretty much going to be along the lines of that. So I know that everything in here is a flipping bait or a craw. So if I need like a craw for a Texas rig or something, it's in here, plus all my flipping baits. So I've got all my rage tails in here, some Guggen baits, cracking craws, some of these flipping stuff for rage tail as well. So in this box, nothing but that. All right guys, so that pretty much wraps up all of my tackle, except for line. Line I keep kind of custom in my boat. Got a ton of line that just is all set up in there. And I didn't do Senkos or creature baits. Now, the reason being is I have another one of these boxes coming in the mail sometime this week, and that's going to have all of my Senkos and creature baits in it. I pretty much fish, you know, if I'm fishing a Senko and it's not really working, I might switch to a creature bait. So I'm just gonna combine them into one thing, and I just know that those are all in there. So currently all my Senkos and creature baits are on the floor right now in a huge pile, but once that box gets in, I will put it all in there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was probably kind of long and maybe a little boring, I'm sorry, but I had a few requests on doing this video and how I organize everything. I hope that maybe this helped you guys out, figure out what you want to do. Maybe, hopefully, duct tape, Sharpie works good for you guys. Maybe you figured out, hey, maybe storing my soft plastics like that's not a bad idea. Or you're like, Brandon, what are you doing? That's kind of stupid. If you guys have a really good way to store plastics, or a way that you store your tackle that you think is a little better, that I could benefit from, or somebody in the channel or the community could benefit from, drop it in the comments below. I would love to see it. Like I said, I understand this video might have been kind of long, so I'm going to end it right now. Make sure you guys like and subscribe for the giveaway, and until next time, keep fishing hard.